Hi, I'm Mike McCormick, live from GBTA Studios here in Toronto, and I'm here with Tom Wilkinson, Director of Distribution, NDC for SAP Concur, and longtime industry veteran and expert of travel in general. Tom, great to have you here, and first off, we were laughing before the interview started, that if you ask 100 people what NDC is, you probably get about 99 different answers.
That's true.
So give me your definition. What's NDC?
Sure. So NDC is a way that the airlines are trying to enhance the content they can push to consumers through electronic channels.
Right.
For decades and actually a generation, they've been working primarily with the GDS, and GDS takes schedule, fare, and availability data and presents it back out in a standardized format to the GDS, to online booking tools and travel management companies, et cetera. The airlines have been wanting to enhance that. They want to show pictures of their new enhanced services,
right.
The Wi-Fi, the comfy seats, the limos to the airport, all the stuff that they're trying to sell to enhance customer experience. And also, of course, they're trying to control their distribution costs.
Right.
But the bottom line is they want to push a lot of new content out to consumers and business travelers that doesn't really fit into the technology of the GDSs today. So that's what NDC is in a nutshell, is a new technology driven by APIs that allows the airlines to break down all these complex services and push them out in a format the rest of the industry understands and then can display in a meaningful way.
And merchandise in different ways.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think, so when you look at the impact on managed travel programs, so the questions are, that's all great in concept, and great when you're talking about the brand's ability to have a more enhanced one-on-one relationship with the traveler, but when the company's paying the bill, you have a different set of issues. And so what are you finding as you get into those discussions?
It's really very early days,
right.
To assess the impact of NDC on those issues. NDC has the promise of giving customers a lot more options about bundles of services and values that they might purchase on behalf of their company, and they could well be a really valuable offer for a traveler. But today the tools that we've been using to measure things like lowest logical fare and other metrics just aren't set up to handle some of these more complex equations that are going to come about. So it does create a real challenge for everybody in the travel management ecosystem, and we're not done. The technology is being developed now to make NDC work. But some of those questions about travel management, really haven't been addressed yet.
Right, and you've got issues of transparency, shopping, doing the comparisons. To your point,
Exactly.
that this whole ecosystem really relies upon in every sector, not just airline, but hotel, car, etc. And so, I think that's at the crux of the matter, right? And everyone is a bit struggling with, okay, I get it in concept.
Right.
I get it even on a consumer basis.
Right.
But when I bring it into this world, as always, right?
Right.
We've seen that not just here, but virtually in every form of innovation. Things usually start out in the consumer space, and then we have to figure out how to adopt it into the business travel community in a way that answers a lot of those questions.
Right. And probably some of the techniques that companies use to determine whether they're managing travel well, will have to change and evolve.
Right.
But if you think about that specific example, I have an opportunity to fly to Toronto. I'm going to take a suitcase because I have 3 days of business meetings, and I really don't want to drive my car. And I get an offer from an airline that includes my bag and transportation to the airport. It could be a really great deal for the company at the end of the day, and particularly if the airlines are able to include some of those ancillary services in the bundles that they make available to specific corporations.
Well, and you can see why they'd be anxious to do that, because clearly the ancillary fees have been a really big part of their financial success over the last 5 years or so, and this is an area that they want to continue to figure out ways to enhance and package and repackage in different ways.
Absolutely.
So then let's talk about where NDC does meet the GDS, because you've got Sabre's pending purchase of Farelogix, you've got a lot of work and conversations with Amadeus, others about basically bringing this into their environments. Where do we stand on all that?
So all three of the GDSs, of course, the major GDSs, have made announcements about their intent to go grab these APIs from the airlines just like anybody else can, and set them up in those pipes. But they have a tremendous, that's actually not that complicated. I mean, they've been consolidating information, again, for generations. And they're really good at it, but this is information that's structured in a totally different way, different kinds of content, but it fundamentally is owned and controlled by the airlines, and that's the real difference.
Yep.
So the GDSs have to figure out how they're going to go back and talk to the airline systems, both for the initial purchase or the order, but even more challenging is the offer.
Right.
Once the airlines come out and say, well, Mike, you're so-and-so at GBTA, you have this status on our airline, they make you an offer, they'll throw in the Wi-Fi for no charge. You take that offer, if you want to change that order that you've made, the GDSs and everybody else in the industry has to figure out how to make these new connections.
Yeah, and kind of in that very dynamic intermediary role, not as easy as the structured way they've used to be dealing with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Historically, it's been schedule, fare, and availability, and the technology to manage all that stuff has been there. But this is, we are in the Wild West here.
Brave new world. Right?
Exactly.
Well, very interesting insights. I mean, I think one that certainly, if we look at, for GBTA, when we look at one of the topics that's becoming, the big, if you look at the word cloud of like what people are focused on, this one's really quickly becoming, going into the forefront. And we've seen it coming for a while, but I think we're finally here. I mean, as witnessed by a pretty crowded session here with you today.
Right. But I think it's important for everybody to know that this isn't going to hit us like a wall. It's going to hit us like a wave.
Right.
And you're going to get on the wave whether you like it or not, and you're going to go towards the shore. And maybe you're standing up on the board sometimes, and other times you're kind of floundering around in the wash. But we're all learning. Everybody in the industry is learning. It will take some time, but ultimately it's going to be good for travelers. It's going to be good for companies. We just have a lot of work to do between now and then.
Great insight, Tom, as always.
Sure.
Appreciate you being here.
My pleasure. Thank you very
Tom
much.
Wilkinson, Director of Distribution NDC at SAP Concur, and I'm Mike McCormick, live from GBTA Studios in Toronto.